do your foot off and go and do something better with your time. Thank you.
So you never got tickets then, I gather?
I have got fucking tickets, and I'll tell you now, there's no racist going off.
Yeah, no.
For the 10 fucking fat white birds outside.
Sadiq Kant, who's just been slagged off by Trumpy Trump, looks very unwell. He looks like he might be very, very sick. And I really hope that that isn't the case, because that would be very, very sad indeed.
Breaking today, Leicester leftists tried to ban Katie Hopkins from their city, but they failed. So these are the losers at Stand Up to Racism who released a poster saying that Katie Hopkins, a racist and frequent supporter of Tommy Robinson, brings her hate speech to the Athena Theatre. She has referred to migrants as cockroaches and suggested using gunships on small boats crossing the channel. Hopkins referred to Palestinians as filthy rodents burrowing beneath Israel and tweeted calls for the final solution regarding Muslims. Hopkins is now trying to masquerade as a comedian. She is a racist liar and a friend to fascists worldwide. We want to tell her she is not welcome here in multicultural Leicester. So as Adam Brooks pointed out, the tolerant left are indirectly threatening voices they want silent. They are what they accuse other of. They are the fascists, vile people funded via vile people. And sure enough, the protesters did show up. Watch.
I'll tell you, I've noticed time and time again, you never see them standing there holding placards of immigrant offenders, do you? You ever see that? Oh no, 'cause they're all good boys and girls, aren't they? You know, the ones that actually stab and rape people off the boats.
But guess who won? The local patriots who decided to brave those losers and insisted there would be no racism going on inside the venue.
Why don't you fuck off and go and do something better with your time? Thank you.
So you never got tickets then, I gather?
I have got fucking tickets, and I'll tell you now, there's no racist going off.
Yeah, no, we're here for you. We're here for you.
Racist.
These are. We're here for you.
Sorry.
Oh, she's turned on the wrong people. That's funny.
Bloody hell, Kate should be loving this video, you.
Patriot, I love it. But Katie did not tone down her rhetoric inside the Leicester venue. Here she is on Sadiq Khan.
Sadiq Kant, who's just been slagged off by Trumpy Trump, looks very unwell. I mean, usually he's a very curious sort of colour, like a little greenish tinge, but now he's very green indeed, and increasingly thin and very worn looking. He looks like he might be very, very sick, and I really hope that that isn't the case, because that would be very, very sad indeed. That's it, my darlings. Batshit bonkers Britain. See you later, Leicester.
And sure enough, Leicester showed up in their droves, with Katie revealing a response from my sold-out Leicester crowd to the 10 fat white birds protesting outside. Get a fucking hobby, loves. Look at this standing O.
So all I can see is lights, but people will get the sense of this. So I thought for the 10 fucking fat white birds outside. White birds. I promise you can't see any of you feel like that.
So Connor Tomlinson of Tomlinson Talks, I think in this case we can say Stand Up to Racism 0, Katie Hopkins 1. Want the real story behind the headlines? Subscribe to Dan Wotton Outspoken for daily updates you won't get anywhere else. Join us today. It's free.
They're rather impotent, Dan. I mean, there was a pathetic demonstration outside the Lotus Eaters live event a couple of months ago.
Oh, yes.
Where a creature that looked like some sort of amorphous Pokemon who got out the wrong side of the bed decided to show up with like bright green hair, and these people are an embarrassment. The only infuriating thing about this is I know my tax money is being spent on this, because some of the heads of the Socialist Workers' Party and Stand Up to Racism, because they're the same entity, they've got it printed on their placards that they've recycled ever since 2020, maybe the taxpayers' budget's been cut because they can't get new signs. Anyway, they are on teaching unions. They're part of the transport unions and some of the largest unions in the country, and they receive, obviously, government funding. And we know for a fact that previously the Home Office have funded various charities like the Paul Hamlin Foundation and Hope Not Hate to establish networks of activists and young migrant leaders all across the country to act as like rapid response units to people having a good time with opinions that they don't like. And so we know this is a product of government grants, and we know that the police have escorted them to protests and picket lines to cause agitation, as they did outside the Bell Hotel protests down in Epping last year. So we just know that this is the state taking the side of a socialist, communist, anti-racist, but actually anti-white activist group who have resorted to protesting comedy nights by former reality TV stars. I mean, the only thing we can celebrate is the fact that it's so pathetic, and that hopefully, if the government that they fear most comes into power, that they'll be defunded and reduced to begging, destitute, or busking in Bristol.
Connor, there is a new breed, though, on the left. And I don't know if you've seen this, but I want to show you this video that has gone viral. It is one of these women, there she is, so sort of like very much a straight from central casting, stand up to racism, bisexual, you know, queer leftist, that sort of woman. And she has gone viral for making a video of leaving a date with a young man who she claims without any evidence might be following her on the street. And her only issue was the fact that she found out said man had voted for Reform UK. Watch this.
Had a date at 7 p.m. It is now 7:20 and I'm on my way home because they are a Reform voter. Took me about 10 minutes to figure it out, but once I did, I wasn't staying. He was offended when I was checking if he was straight. As a bisexual, I was making sure. And he was also referred to me as a female. Ooh. And just checking he's not following me. He said that originally Reform had good intentions and now they just have to reject some other parties. So they're the ones that have ruined Reform, when before it had good intentions. I pointed out that it had always been bigoted and racist and misogynistic and homophobic, and he said no. And I said yes, he wanted me to be more tolerant, and that I should be more tolerant and I should be open to a discussion. I said I was not open to a discussion on racism, homophobia with someone who sits on the wrong side of that, and that there is a right and a wrong in this situation, and he was wrong. Didn't need to be tolerant to homophobia, racism, misogyny, etc. And I nipped my pint and I left. So he did also start the conversation by saying he only ever ends up on dates with weird, not like kooky weird, which is always the first red flag. And apparently his ex is a narcissist. Don't think so, honey. I think you're the narcissist. Well, not even, because I think you've got to be smart to be one of those. Unfortunately, the bar was very close to where I live, so I feel a bit concerned. But yeah, I've left. And Breeze, make people disclose their politics, because it is actually dangerous to not do that. As a queer person, I cannot date someone who is Reform.
I mean, so sinister at the end, Connor, because of course there was no danger to her. There was absolutely no suggestion of violence or anything like that. But don't you think that video sums up this new breed of leftist woman? But first, before we get back to the show, a quick word about something I use genuinely every day, Surfshark. Most people browse the internet, shop online, check emails, or jump onto public Wi-Fi without thinking twice. It feels routine, right? But what you don't always see is what's happening in the background. Every click, search, and website visit leaves a digital footprint. Advertisers can track your activity. Hackers can take advantage of unsecured networks, and your personal information can end up far more exposed than you realize. That's why I use Surfshark. It helps make my online activity much harder to track by encrypting my connection, hiding my IP address, and adding a layer of privacy whenever I'm browsing. Whether I'm working from home, traveling, or using Wi-Fi in a hotel or an airport, I'd rather know my data is protected than just hope for the best. And Surfshark is more than just a VPN. It protects your connection, your devices, and your personal information in one place. Its ad blocker helps cut out intrusive ads, trackers, malware, and phishing links so your browsing feels cleaner and safer. That matters whether you're reading the news, shopping online, or just trying to avoid the endless creep of being monitored across the internet. What I also like is that it's simple to use. One account covers unlimited devices, so you're not just protecting one laptop or phone, you can secure the whole household. So if you want an easy way to protect all aspects of your online life, go to surfshark.com/outspoken or use the code outspoken at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN plus a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's surfshark.com/outspoken using the code outspoken for 4 extra months. But now, back to the show.
Well, if he was following, I don't trust that she'd be able to get away too fast. She doesn't look like she can run very quickly. Anyway, Dan, I would just say to the bloke in question that's being put on blast here, thank her for doing your vetting for you. Also, get some better taste, mate, because that should have been a hard left swipe from the off. But what we are seeing is a political bifurcation between men and women. Like, the New Statesman actually had a couple of really great pieces by Scarlett and Emily recently that showed that the majority of young men have a positive opinion of young women, but the majority of young women have either a negative or apathetic opinion towards men their own age. And so it's making coupling and relationships really difficult. And it's because there's been a runaway progressive preference cascade among young women. They're more concerned about Gaza than Great Britain. They're doggedly in favour of abortion. They are finding identity in queer and social justice subcultures that are actually making them miserable, that are causing them to have full body convulsions because they feel such sorrow that communism hasn't come around yet, whereas young men are a bit more in touch with reality and pragmatic. And again, consider me critical friend of Reform. Reform are hardly an extremist party. I keep criticising them for not being hardline enough, frankly, and that's why quite a few young men don't support them yet. I did say to them, you've lost quite a lot of Gen Z support because you don't touch demographics, and it's an issue you need to get onto, whether you like it or not. But it is conspicuous that this woman decided to say that, oh, this guy has said his ex was a narcissist. I don't think so, mate, insinuating that he was a narcissist. The bitter irony of a woman walking down the street doing a confessional video, feigning victimhood, insinuating that she might be being followed. If you were really that worried, you wouldn't pull out your phone and film yourself and do a TikTok. You'd be trying to get home as fast as possible. You would be on the phone to a nearest relative, or maybe even the police to show up. Maybe claim that the guy was racist, and then they might teleport there to keep you safe. And the entire point of this video is to raise her social status within a set of politics that grants her prestige, because she is the most ideologically wedded to the current paradigm. She's not particularly intelligent, she's not particularly attractive, she doesn't seem very virtuous, she seems quite spiteful and self-obsessed actually, but so that she can compete socially with her female peers, she keeps this politics in place, which allows her to have the most social currency because she can claim to be a victim. And all I would say to young women is, do you want to listen to this woman who seems spiteful, resentful, overweight, and ultimately is advancing politics that's making you and her miserable? Or would you prefer to go on a date with a nice young lad that's going to make you happy? Would you prefer female friends that didn't tear you down? Would you prefer to feel safe in your own country and not preyed upon by the kinds of men that woman treats as a baby while accusing, presumably, a young white English lad who just wants to fix his country of being the real predator? If that's the case, I would sooner vote for the furthest right possible party available in your area and go on a date with said nice young lads who vote for said right-wing party, than listen to that woman who looks like she's only ever amounted to working as a cashier in Lush.
But Connor, in all seriousness though, I mean, you're now so lucky because you've found the woman of your dreams and she's expecting twins, as you have revealed today, twin girls, which is so exciting. But this is actually such a difficult time for young men trying to find a partner, because how on earth could you trust a woman like that not to, for example, make a completely ludicrous, untrue allegation against you for political reasons? It's really difficult, isn't it? Like, obviously there's a funny side to this, but navigating the new world of love, if you're a patriotic young man, is really tough.
Absolutely. And if she's willing to make these accusations for social clout when she's not in a relationship with you, then she'll be willing to make one about you if you get into an argument. So again, if these sorts of women are so vicious about politics, just don't go near them, because the last thing you want is not just a custody battle if she decides to just leave you over your own children, but you also don't want to be at war with your own household. You want a relatively peaceful life, or a life when it's not peaceful. You want someone who unquestionably has your back, who supports you, who sustains you, and you can act as the rock upon which her emotional waves break as well. You want reciprocity, and without reciprocity, it's just exploitation. And getting into a relationship with that kind of person would be disastrous for any enterprising young man. And I say this as someone who did not have the greatest dating history before. Save yourself the headache, lads. Trust me. It is very difficult, though, and I'm very sympathetic, Dan, because over half of young men now haven't approached a woman in the last year. And this is why, films like Obsession are resonating with my generation. I'm putting out a review soon. It's because the guardrails around modern dating have been totally obliterated. We don't have our elders looking out for us. It's been outsourced to dating apps with perverse commercial incentives to ration your ability to find someone who suits you. I met my wife on Hinge, fortunately, but because they want to sell you a subscription or more adverts. And so instead, what ends up happening is people out of desperation, they feel they can't be honest, they feel they have to hide their politics or their true intentions. Men are shy about being forthcoming to women, and some women will take advantage of men not being so forthcoming because they're fearing false accusations, and they will love bomb them from the off to hide their personality flaws, and then hey presto, they turn out to have BPD and try and ruin your life later on. So all I can say is be discerning out there, lads. If a woman doesn't share your politics to the extent where she's been radicalized like that woman there, don't risk it, and put yourself out there, but just be discerning when you do.
Dan Wotton Outspoken is your no spin, no bias, no censorship outlet for independent news. We have no big tech backing or billionaires pulling my strings, but that does mean I need your support. So please hit subscribe on YouTube, turn on the notification bell, and subscribe to Dan Wotton Outspoken on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It's totally free, but allows me to continue my promise